Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic, antibiotics, the gut, and how new treatments to prevent sexually transmitted infections could have some surprising side effects. Stick around, because this affects a lot more than you might think. You've probably heard about antibiotics being used to treat infections, but did you know that some people take them preventively, after a risky event, to avoid getting sick in the first place? One antibiotic, called doxycycline, is being used just like that by some folks to prevent bacterial infections that are transmitted through intimate contact. This is called doxycycline post-exposure prophylaxis, or DoxyPEP for short. For certain groups, like men who have sex with men and transgender women, DoxyPEP has been shown to help prevent sexually transmitted infections. But there's a catch, a big one. What happens when you take a lot of antibiotics over time? Let's talk about what the researchers found. When people took doxycycline regularly for about 6 months after risky contact, their gut, the place that's home to a ton of bacteria, both good and bad, went through some changes. Now, I know you're probably thinking, gut changes? That sounds bad. Well, it's a bit more complex than that. The gut is filled with millions of different kinds of bacteria that work together, like a bustling city of microorganisms. They help us digest food, keep our immune system strong, and even affect how we feel. But, when antibiotics like doxycycline come into play, they can stir things up. Here's the twist. The study found that taking DoxyPEP didn't change the overall mix of bacteria in the gut too much. The diversity, the different kinds of bacteria in there, stayed mostly the same. No huge shakeups, no drastic wipeouts. So that's kind of good news, right? But there's something else happening under the surface. This antibiotic use led to an increase in what scientists call resistance genes for tetracycline, basically, genes that help bacteria survive even in the presence of antibiotics like doxycycline. This means that, while the overall community of bacteria in the gut seemed stable, more of them were carrying tools to resist antibiotics. Picture this like a neighborhood where, suddenly, a lot more people have an umbrella, except instead of rain, they're getting ready to handle antibiotics. Okay, why does this matter? When bacteria in your gut have these resistance tools, they can sometimes pass them around, not just to their neighbors, but also to other bacteria, some of which can make you sick. This is what makes antibiotic resistance a huge concern. It turns normally manageable infections into stubborn problems. The study also showed that the more DoxyPEP someone took, the more of these resistance tools showed up. In other words, the more doses of doxycycline, the more bacteria that got those umbrellas. It's like the bacteria are gearing up for a long storm. Here's the kicker, this increase was mostly limited to resistance against tetracycline antibiotics. They didn't see big changes for other types of antibiotic resistance. And interestingly, even though the bacteria were getting better at resisting doxycycline, the types of bacteria didn't really change, and their total number stayed stable. But, hold on, before you think it's all doom and gloom, this doesn't mean everyone taking doxycycline is suddenly in trouble. The researchers say this effect may vary depending on how much and how often it's taken. The point here is that if DoxyPEP becomes more widespread, we need to keep an eye out to understand its bigger impacts on health. So what's the takeaway? Well, DoxyPEP is a promising strategy for preventing certain infections, but there's a delicate balance to strike. We don't want to create a situation where bacteria learn too well how to resist antibiotics, because that makes future treatments harder for everyone. The bottom line? If you're using doxycycline for this kind of prevention, or considering it, it's important to stay in touch with healthcare providers and stay informed. Antibiotics are powerful tools, but they come with responsibilities. And that's where ongoing research and careful monitoring come in. It's like with any medication, we have to weigh the benefits and the risks. This study gives us a glimpse into one side of that balance, how a preventive treatment can impact the hidden ecosystem inside our bodies. So, while DoxyPEP might help stop some infections, it's also nudging bacteria to get smarter about resisting antibiotics. It's a reminder that we need new ways to fight infections, and we have to use the tools we have wisely. That's all for today's dive into the fascinating world of antibiotics and the gut microbiome. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more health and science content, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Are you worried about antibiotic resistance, or are you curious about what other ways we can prevent infections? Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of your gut, there's a whole world in there.